Hello. Hi everyone. This is episode 2. I got a lot of great response from my first video last week. The whole series I decided is going to be called Harry Has a Cocktail, and each week it's going to be titled Harry Has a whatever cocktail I'm going to make. And last week I had mentioned that my husband Sean and I usually drink gin. Our signature cocktail at our wedding was a classic gin martini with blue cheese olives. We actually kind of tortured ourselves for a while about what kind of alcohol we'd have at the wedding. We just opted for one cocktail, and then we had beer and wine. The wine was donated by our very good friend Doug Frew, and thank you, Doug, because we forgot to thank him at the wedding. But we're thanking him as much as we possibly can for the rest of our lives. Tonight I'm going to make a classic gin martini. Now, this is my version of a classic gin martini. A lot of times when you go to a bar and you ask for a martini up very dry, what very dry means is they want as little vermouth as possible. But I did some reading up on this, and I don't know, so people can tell me I'm wrong if I'm wrong. An old classic martini actually was a third vermouth, which is very different than what we have today. To me, having a very dry martini with no vermouth, that's to me not a martini. To me, that's just a glass of gin or vodka, very cold in a glass, which some people want. That's not what I want. I don't think that's a cocktail. I just think that's a glass of cold gin. So that's the way I make my martinis. I make mine 2/3. Sometimes I add a little extra half of an ounce just to put a little bit more gin. And it also depends. A lot of people order, my husband always wants his martinis dirty, which basically means some brine of the olives, the olive juice actually in the mix. Here's what I'm going to use to make these. This is the vermouth. I just use Martini and Rossi. They just actually changed their labels recently, their label, and I think it looks very classic and wonderful and good. I'm going to use the Broker's Gin tonight. And I used this last week. I neglected to show you that the bottle actually comes with this cute little bowler on top. So you can wear the bowler. It doesn't stay on my head. Okay, anyway. So that was that's the Broker's Gin. Here are my olives, just regular Queen olives, pimento stuffed, and I'm going to show you in a second. We actually go ahead and stuff our olives with actual blue cheese, which I have right here, just some crumbled blue cheese. And then I have a couple toothpicks and then the rest of my stuff to make the drink. So the first thing I'm going to do is make the olives. You like this double camera thing I got going here? I just thought, maybe people want to see a little bit more closely what it is I'm actually doing. I don't know how interesting any of this is, but you decide. Guys, the video has already had over, I don't know, something like 150 views. And get this, I have 8 subscribers. If you like the video, like it, and also just hit subscribe. And then you'll find out when I have another video coming out. I'm going to try to put these out every Friday, because it's the weekend. So here you see I just have 3 regular olives, and with the pimentos here, I use a toothpick and I just kind of dig in and I just remove it, take it out. Sometimes I eat it, and sometimes I discard it. But here you see, I just dig my toothpick in there and I just remove the pimento, and then I just take the crumbled blue cheese. A lot of times what will happen is Sean will actually stuff the blue cheese olives, and while I make the drink, and then everything's ready all at the same time. So you see, all I'm doing is I'm just getting a good chunk and just stuffing the olive. I mean, it's not very hard. The reason we do this is because a lot of times whenever you buy it in the store, I don't know, the cheese is always really hard and kind of gross. Now, obviously, if you don't like blue cheese, don't put blue cheese in them. I mean, this is it. This is still a recipe that you can use just with regular olives. You could also do a twist, which maybe I'll show it some future video. And I just, take my toothpick and skewer them. And that's how it's gonna and my blue cheese olives that I'm gonna put in the drink. So I'll save those for later, obviously. And now I'm gonna take my shaker. I pre-did the ice. My dad is hilarious. My dad watched my video and really liked it. He reminded me that he does not like ice from the freezer. My dad will only use ice that he buys in the store for his drinks. He'll use it for like a, I don't know, Pepsi. I think he drinks Diet Pepsi. He thinks it has a weird taste, like that the ice from the freezer has like a freezer taste. Freezer burn, I guess, is what he's talking about. My dad has his ice with his Miller Lite. I think, Dad, you can confirm this for me on the Facebook post. But I think it's just because the bottle's never cold enough, right? It's never cold enough, or you like to make it last, I guess. That's what we'll go with. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to take my Broker's Gin. I'm gonna take my jigger, which, as I said last week, was the top part. The top is 1 ounce. Flip it over, and that's a half an ounce up there. So I'm just gonna take 1 ounce, 2 ounces of gin. And then sometimes what I do, if I want it a little stronger, I just flip it over and I put like another half in. 2.5 ounces of gin to 1 ounce of vermouth. Now some people who like their martinis dry, like I'm sure think this is really gross, but this is the way I like it. I like it mixed in there. And then you shake it. That's good. That's good. I shake my martinis a really long time. I find that whenever you get martinis in a restaurant or at a bar, often they just, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that they're just serving a lot of drinks and they just don't have a lot of time to shake it for a long time. But you know, isn't it embarrassing when you have to send it back because it's not cold enough? I mean, I just hate that. So yeah, so I really shake the crap out of it. There's actually like a little bit of frost on the outside of the shaker, which I love. And then now there is a strainer in the top of these, but what I don't like about just the strainer that's actually in shakers rather than this strainer is because the ice chips won't come through. I mentioned that last week that I like when a little bit of ice chips come through. I usually put my olives in first, and then I go ahead and give it a pour. Now, this martini glass I'm using, I believe, is a 5 ounce martini glass, which is a huge martini. Huge. 5 ounces. I mean, super drunk right away. And that's it. Then you just drink it. So good. So that's how you make just a little addendum to the video. So I've, as you can see, I've had some of the cocktail now, and it's quite good. I'm liking it. I didn't mention that, I mean, maybe people know this. What's so interesting about making these videos is because if you're gonna put out a video, you know, videos about any subject, aren't you kind of acting like an expert, like a know-it-all? I mean, that's really not what I intend this to be. I'm just a guy who likes to mix cocktails. But what's interesting about this is that I am a complete lightweight when it comes to drinking alcohol. I mean, Sean will tell you, any of my friends will tell you, I can have one and I can have a second, but that's it. If I have a third, I'm done. Because you know what they say. You know what they say about martinis. Maybe I shouldn't say this. Maybe this is very politically incorrect. I don't know. And Michelle told me this. So I don't think I'm being sexist. Isn't it Michelle that told me this? Michelle's dad used to say, martinis are like breasts. 1 isn't enough, 2 is just right, and 3 is too many. There you go. Thanks, Michelle. I actually don't advocate heavy drinking. That's not at all what I intend this series to be about. I've never been a person who drinks to get drunk. It's not about that for me. I really enjoy seeing my friends. I really enjoy having people over. Sean and I both have made a real effort to make our home extremely welcoming to people. And we want people to come and see us. And I think in this day and age of, I mean, even doing this video series, you know, putting something out on Instagram and Facebook and not Twitter, it's about seeing people. We like a group of like 4 to 6 people to come over. We make drinks and we put out a cheese board and some grapes, and we seem to always have grapes, but we always have cheese. Oh yes, here's some cheese. I'm actually having cheese with my martini. So, oh, I wanted to, I wanted to add the fact that chill your martini glass in advance. So that's how you make a classic no, not dirty, but a classic gin martini with blue cheese olives. I hope you enjoyed my second video, and we'll see you soon.